Hi, we're just gonna all introduce ourselves one by one. My name's Gavia, and I'm from Trumbull, Connecticut, and I go to Trumbull High.
Hi, I'm Trahan. I am 13 years old and I go to Hillcrest Middle School.
Hello, I'm Rashi Kaur Sethi. I live in Trumbull, Connecticut, and I'm mother of two kids.
Hi, my name is Ashmeen Batra. I go to Trumbull High and I'm a junior.
Hi, my name is Ishleen, and I am a freshman in Trumbull High.
Hi, my name is UV Sony. I'm 16 years old and I'm a junior at Bethel High School.
I'm Summer Damoon. Hi, and I am a sophomore at Wilton High School currently.
Hi, my name is Jaspreet Singh, and I'm a senior at Trimble High School.
Hello, I am Bayan and I go to Metropolitan New Haven.
Hi, my name is Hardit Tawa, and I'm a junior at Fairfield Ludlow High School.
Hi, my name is Harleen Pawa, and I'm a junior at Fairfield Ludlow High School.
Hi, my name is Gurmeet Singh. I live in Clinton. I'm a proud parent of teenage daughters and a proud liaison for the Sikh youth advocacy program such as this to help empower them and us as a community to keep building bridges.
Hi, my name's Sarnika. I'm 15 years old and I go to Morgan High School in Clinton and I'm a sophomore.
Rashi.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. You all can share your questions in the chat below. And once the recording stops, we'll be happy to answer your questions or concerns. Thank you.
Hi, so this presentation will highlight a little bit about our history, Sikhism's spot in the world, and also our identity. Please enjoy while we teach you all who the Sikhs are, and again, feel free to input any and all questions you have into the chat.
Let's go over the pronunciation of our religion and how our people are referred to. Typically, our religion is referred to as Sikhism, and we are referred to as Sikhs. However, we prefer our religion is referred as Sikhi and ourselves as Sikhs.
Uh, so, so, so Sikhism is the fifth largest religion in the world at 25 million, and Christianity at number one with 2.2 billion. Second is Islam with 1.6 billion. Third is Hinduism with 1 billion, and fourth is Buddhism with 488 million. And as you can see in the fourth and fifth places with Buddhism and Sikhism, there's a big gap with 488 million and 225 million. So, however, we are very recognizable, which people know us for is our identity, which we'll talk about later in this presentation as well.
So just to go into a brief history. Sikhi started in northern India in the late 1400s, and today Sikhs make up 2% of the population in both India and Canada, where they hold prominent positions in government. Overall, there are 20 million Sikhs in India and another 6 million dispersed throughout the world, most prominently in countries such as Canada, the UAE, the UK, Australia, and of course America, where there are 200,000 Sikhs approximately.
All right, now let's dive into this timeline. To start with some historical context, Sikhism was founded in 1469 in the northern region of Punjab, India by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. His birth coincided with significant global events such as the Renaissance and Columbus's arrival in the Americas. However, India at that time was facing severe social injustices. Society was deeply entrenched in a rigid caste system. Educational opportunities were scarce, and there was widespread abuse of religious power by priests. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message at this time was nothing short of revolutionary. He preached that all people, regardless of their gender, caste, or color, are equal. Moreover, he emphasized the belief in one universal God, rejecting the notion that any one religion was superior to another. Moving on to the religious landscape at the time, priesthood, which existed in many religions, acted as a middleman between individuals and God. Guru Nanak Dev Ji rejected this practice, advocating instead for a direct and personal relationship with God, free from any intermediaries. While a form of priesthood does exist in Sikhi, their role is more administrative, focusing on ensuring Gurdwara services run smoothly. Sikh priests can also marry, and women can serve in these roles, which underscores the value of equality in Sikhism. I'm sure you're curious about what happened during the more than 200 years between Guru Nanak Dev Ji's birth and the establishment of the eternal Guruship. During this time, the next 9 Gurus continued to reinforce his teachings further through the development of scripture. They also introduced the powerful concept of Sikhs as both saints and soldiers. This era was marked by significant turmoil in India, with invasions from the Middle East bringing widespread oppression and suffering. Many religious groups adhered strictly to non-violence, but the Sikhs adopted a dual identity. They lived peacefully as saints during times of harmony, but rose as soldiers in moments of injustice, standing up to protect themselves and others. In 1699, the 10th and final human guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, declared that the line of human living gurus would end and be bestowed all spiritual authority upon the Guru Granth Sahib, the sacred Sikh scripture. To this day, the Guru Granth Sahib remains the eternal living guru of the Sikh faith.
So just to go into Sikhs' impact on America. So Sikhs actually have a much bigger impact on the history of America than many people think. And they first started migrating to America in the late 1800s and the early 1900s as people working on farms and on railroads. And basically where they first migrated to was majorly California, where there's still the largest population of Sikhs to this day, at least in regarding America. And the reason why they moved to California was actually really interesting, and it was mostly due to the similarities that there was between California and the birthplace of our religion, Sikhi, in Punjab. And there's definitely a noticeable similarities in the climate and as well as agricultural opportunity, which was something that was massive back home in Punjab.
So, as Jaspreet mentioned before when he spoke, our house of worship is called a Gurdwara. Like Christians have a church, our house of worship is called a Gurdwara. So the first one was established in Stockton, California, in 1912. So as you can see here is the first Gurdwara that was built in the United States, and all the people that have built it and the ones who had the idea to try to build it and to create a legacy for Sikhs or start one.
This actually brings us into one of the most important Sikh American pioneers there was, and that is Dalip Singh Sandh, who was not only the first Sikh American congressman elected, but the first Asian American congressman elected as a whole in 1957. He served California's 29th district, and he's most renowned for advocating for immigrants' rights, building bridges between diverse communities, and breaking barriers during a time where barriers needed to be broken in the form of the civil rights era and all the hate that had been building for Asian communities after World War II.
Before we move on, I would like to talk about Ikumkar because it is the start of our scriptures and is one of the most important parts of our religion. Ikumkar means that we believe in one God, and He exists within everyone and everything. We take this belief very literally, which means everyone's God, everyone shares one God. So your God is my God. He is within us all. It shows to be kind to everyone and how everyone is created equal.
Okay, so now we're gonna talk about a few words, and let's start off with Nam Japna. It basically means that you should remember God and meditate on His name to stay connected with your inner peace, and it helps you bring calmness and it helps you live with kindness and compassion. The second word, Vanchakna, it means sharing with everyone and not just within your own community. Sikhs believe in caring for all, and no one should be able to go without their basic needs. Kirat Karna is the practice of earning an honest living and working really hard. Sikhs contribute to society through honest work, which brings dignity and respect. Equality. In Sikhism, it teaches us that everyone is equal, regardless of their race, gender, or background, and that treating others fairly helps build a world of acceptance and unity. Fighting injustice, Sikhs believe in standing up against injustice wherever it appears. This value encourages bravery in protecting those who face unfair treatment. Um, Last but not least, seva. It is the act of serving others selflessly with no expectation of getting something in return, like a reward. Sikhs see service as a way to show kindness and to connect with God.
Moving on to Sikh scriptures, primarily the Guru Granth Sahib. It emphasizes the devotion to God, ethical living, and equality. As mentioned before, unlike many other religions, Sikhism has no formal priesthood and can marry and lead normal lives. Moreover, the teachings with the scriptures encourage inclusivity and welcome individuals of all backgrounds with services and gatherings that are open to everyone.
All right. So as you can see from this picture, both men and women are able to wear whichever form of the dastar they choose to wear. This is basically what the Sikh identity is. It's built off the principle of equality, as we don't believe that either men or women have to wear a certain type of garment or dastar. Also, something I'd like to mention is that Sikhs can look like anyone. They don't have to be from India necessarily, although that is where most Sikhs are from, as anyone can freely convert into Sikhi. This means that Sikhi is a pretty diverse religion, as it's not limited to any singular racial group. We also don't believe in missionaries of any kind, and there's absolutely no requirement to meet when you're converting into Sikhi. The absence of missionary work is again built off the idea that we don't believe any religion is right or wrong, and anyone is free to believe whatever they wish.
Hi, so here I'll be delving into the 5Ks a little bit of Sikhism. So the 5Ks are worn by Sikhs as external symbols of faith and are called the 5Ks as they all begin with K. One thing to note though, not every Sikh wears these and many vary in them. So some they will mix and match and wear some, but not all. So here shown on the slide are just 3 examples of that. So first you can see the kish, which is uncut hair. So as Sikhs, um, majority of us don't cut our hair due to our teachings. There's also a gara, which is a steel bracelet, and then a kirpan, which is a ceremonial knife for symbolization purposes. So those are just some of the 5Ks.
All right, so now let's take a look at the star. That's what I'm wearing today. And on this picture, you can see uh, in the top left and the middle right is what someone around my age or older would typically wear on like a day-to-day basis. Um, Typically, there's a ceremony after which you would start wearing the star. That's again shown in the top left and in the middle right. And there's freedom to wear it in any way you please. So the top left is one example, and the middle right is another one. And I personally have been wearing this for around a year. I don't wear it to school because I have sports usually, and wearing the parka, which is the bottom left, as you can see, just is a lot easier as it doesn't move around much. Um, and in the top right, in the middle left, and the bottom right, you can see examples of women and how they would wear it. Again, there's freedom and there's equality for anyone. So you're not bound to wear the star a certain way. It's purely just up to you. And one thing about all of these is that they shouldn't be touched without the person who's wearing them's consent.
Sikhs face a variety of issues in school, such as bullying due to a lack of awareness of their Sikh identity. Now we're going to go into some personal examples.
Hi, so once again, my name's Ernika. I go to Morgan High School in Clinton, and it being a predominantly white school, in such a small town with a very low population, I did not always feel like I looked or fit in, and I maybe I didn't, and other people caught on to that, and due to their lack of education and lack of knowledge in where I come from and where my family comes from, it was obviously hard. I would hear um, names being called I would be called, and obviously that created a divide, but once people grew up, grew maturity, and were able to learn through some history lessons and through me teaching them, it definitely changed, so that highlights the importance of education.
Hello, I'm Shahan. So I moved back in Fairfield and no one really knew about my religion. So I went through a lot of bullying. People call me nicknames like Tavelhead, um, all of that stuff, and it was bad. People thought that a sly, which is something I used to tuck in my hair from the side and the back, they thought that it was a weapon and I was gonna hurt them, but um, I ensured them that nothing was gonna happen, and it got to a point where my parents had to come into school and um, I was back in third grade, so they had to read them a book so they will understand more about my religion. And after that, bullying stopped for me.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jaspreet, and my challenges that I faced are very similar to Jahan. So I grew up in Danbury in Connecticut, and so a lot of the same stuff I went through. So it was name calling. Kids used to call me names like Rhino and Unicorn, and also kids used to like touch my burqa, even though I asked them not to. So a lot of the same challenges. The only part that I'm kind of like grateful for is that it kind of led me into this path of like advocacy and standing up for myself, which I believe is really important. I think without it, maybe I would not have strayed onto this path because I might not have known that there was such a big problem or issue around it. And the reason I do this kind of work today is again to kind of prevent like future generations such as Johannes from having to go through this experience in future grades when they enter high school. Usually it's pretty bad in like ninth grade. So I just want to make sure that through education we're able to uh, make sure that future generations don't have to go through the same challenges that we had to.
And yeah, so hi, just as a reminder, my name is UV again, and likewise to Hernika, Chahan, and Jaspreet, I feel like a lot of what I face roots from misinterpretation and misconceptions and just overall uneducation. But my experience is a little bit different because, as you may be able to tell, I don't keep my kish, which is once again uncut hair, and I don't wear patka. So my experiences vary from maybe just Breeds and Shahans, but because of that, I think being a Sikh is more than just about like what you see, what's visible to you. And though I don't actively practice wearing a patka, I've still faced a lot of prejudice based on misconceptions and stereotypes due to both my race and my religion. Um, and I think that the addition of being from a Sikh background, in being a minority religion everywhere we go, it sort of um made me feel that I'm always an outsider, or at least in some scenarios, I'm an outsider, and that people didn't truly know who I was and kind of just assumed that I was from another faith. And I think because of this, it's important to note that all Sikhs have their own experiences in school, which is why I think it's so important to increase representation and raise awareness for Sikhs in a school setting.
So now I want to talk about lack of inclusion. In a survey done by the Sikh Coalition, they found more than 50% of Sikh students reported that the education they receive and school holidays are not at all inclusive of their religion. Hiring discrimination against Sikhs is common. In the military, for example, Sikh service members are denied full religious identity. As well as that, many employers are not willing to accommodate religious practices of Sikh applicants.
And yeah, so just to get into policy engagement. So Sikhs have actually started to become more well known in recent years for policy engagement. And just in the last few decades alone, you've seen a massive increase in like change of policies regarding our faith. And I think one organization that really embodies this and is worth noting is SALDEF, which stands for the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund, which was the first ever Sikh American civil rights organization. Um, and I think so. From my own experience, SALDEF really focuses on advocacy for Sikh rights and increasing representation in policy, and engages with lots of policymakers to address hate crimes, protect religious freedoms, and to promote workplace equality and equity. And I think it's a really great organization that everyone should go learn about more. And two fun facts about Salif is that they work really closely with the White House and DC as a whole, which is where they're founded. And secondly, a lot of the students you're seeing speaking today have all interned or have some affiliation to Salif. Actually, I know me personally. I interned twice at Saldef, once going into my sophomore year and once this recent summer going into my junior year. And I've definitely learned lots from um, Saldef, and policy engagement as a whole is something I've learned loads about.
So, for education, the Sikh Coalition website also has like many books and many resources to educate Sikhi to like students and everything. Um, but the for the country as a whole, in 2009, New Jersey became the first state to significantly educate the public about Sikhism and incorporate it into its curriculum. More recently, in 2023, Connecticut did the same and passed legislation to include Sikh education, emphasizing a bigger commitment to like cultural awareness and inclusivity.
Some of the legislation passed was in first grade, students should know where the majority of Sikhs are located within the state in Connecticut. And in high school, students should know about the effects of 9/11 on the Sikh community.
So, the Connecticut elementary schools and secondary social studies standards have incorporated teachings about multicultural enclaves. This edition claims to provide students with a better understanding of various cultural communities, such as the Vietnamese, Sikh, Mexican, Cuban, and Muslim communities. They analyzed changing spatial patterns of social enclaves within among the United States regions using paper-based and electronic graphic techniques. Also, in the website, there are many books to read and learn more about Sikhi and gain insight into the religion. One book, for instance, includes many colors of Harpreet Singh. And then this is a story about a young Sikh boy named Harpreet who expresses his emotions through the colors of his turbans. For example, when his family moves to his new town, Harpreet feels lonely and wears dark colors to show his sadness. And over time, he makes new friends and adjusts. And as he regains his confidence, he begins wearing brighter colors again. So this book just explored themes of identity, self-expression, and adjusting to change. And then another book to learn more about Sikhi is What is a Patka by Tajinder Kaur. It's a children's book that explains the significance of a patka, a type of head covering worn by young Sikh boys, as mentioned before. And the story aims to foster understanding and celebrate cultural identity by portraying how wearing a patka is an important symbol of pride and heritage.
There are also numerous resources for the middle school and high school group. One particular lesson for students is it's created by C3 teachers. It includes a multitude of different activities for students based on like different primary sources such as maps, videos, and articles. And then students will use that information to answer like certain focus questions such as what is Sikhism and how does Sikhs shape American history? And like students will use their learning in a formative task such as writing a paragraph or creating a graphic to show their understanding. It also includes a potential summative piece and an extension based on the current issues that Sikhs face in American society. The Sikh Collision website also offers a multitude of different video resources. It includes CNN's United States of America with Kamwar Bell, which is a 60-minute long episode of the Sikh community. And it gets a very extensive overview of the Sikh community, while videos such as Who Are the Sikhs by Sikh Collision are a quick 5-minute introduction to the Sikh community. There are also numerous books of famous Sikhs in media, such as Rupal Kaur, who is a poet. There also are case studies in books. There's some memoirs, such as See No Stranger, a memoir in Manifestos of Revolutionary Love by Valerie Kaur. There also are short stories and novels about the Sikh experience, such as Her Name is Kaur, Sikh Woman, Write About Love, Courage, and Faith, edited by Meeta Kaur, which just show Sikh women in America. And there also are books such as A Citizen Fights for His Civil Rights After 9/11 by Amar Singh Rother, which shows the impact of 9/11 on the Sikh community and like the daily lives of Sikhs. Next, we'll transition into a show and tell by Chahan, with showing what's underneath his patka.
Hello. So I'm going to be doing a show and tell. So I'm gonna be taking off my pukka and showing you basically my hair and what it looks like without a pukka, and then I'll be wearing my pukka. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly untie this. So this is my hair. It's a hair bun with all the hair coming around it. And this is a patka. It is a square cloth with 4 strings. So what we do is we put it at our forehead and we tie 2 strings around our head. We just make a knot so the patka can stay on our head. The tighter the knot, the longer it stays on. Then you just tug the sides in, and the other two strings you bring up from each corner. So one goes here. One goes here, and you just tie it around your juda, which is your hair, and then you take the salai right here, and you tuck your hair in from the side and the back, and that's how easy it is.
Just breathe.
Sorry, I just had to grab it. But this is what the bug cloth looks like. So this is essentially what I have tied up right now. As you can tell, these are the two ends, and I can just like fold it together. So this would be one fold. This would be another one.
So
and then this is like
it's like
how it
6 or
looks.
7 meters.
Yeah. It's like around 20-ish feet, a little bit long. My dad's are a little bit longer, because he just wears like a bigger bug. Yeah, so it's a lot of folds, and it stretches out pretty much across the room. So when my dad's tying it, I have to kind of help him first, like get it into a form where he can like easily like kind of wrap it around. So yeah, that's just what like the cloth looks like, and that's like what I have on right now.
Jasprit, can you share with us, like, what do you do to take care of it? Like, how do you handle the turban? Like, what are the rules?
Okay, yeah. So when you're tying it, it shouldn't touch the floor at any point. Even when you're like not wearing it, if it's just like sitting there, you shouldn't keep it on the floor. Like a lot of things in Sikhi, from like holy scripture, like our kirtan books. We have kirtan books that we use to play, basically musical hymns that are like, and those shouldn't touch the ground either. So it's just a sign of respect, to Vaheguru, which is like our like one God, because these are all things that we used to like honor him essentially. So we don't want to disrespect them in any way. And in terms of preparation, it's just like what I said. Like two people usually are needed, one person on each end, and then you basically fold the cloth into where you're able to tie the folds, and so like they look good, like kind of like this thing, how it's like folded and it goes in, is how you like fold this into like the right, I guess, shape.
What if you don't have a second person, Jasprit? What if you're like on a business trip?
Yeah, then you would. I think my dad's done this a couple times. You would just tie it to a doorknob, tie one end to a doorknob, and then you do the other end. Sometimes if like the room's not long enough, then it's kind of an issue because you kind of need to be able to like hold this properly. Otherwise, it doesn't look as like well kept and put together. That's another thing is you want to keep it as clean as possible. So that's why we don't believe in putting it on the ground. Yeah.
Thank you, Jasprit. So we can go on the last slide, Harleen. So that concludes our information session on Sikhism, Sikhi. At this point, we can take any questions or comments from anyone.